Okay, brothers and sisters, this brother Elihu L coming at you from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm going to talk to y'all today about conspiracies. What is a conspiracy? You know, you hear the word a lot. Some of you might even use the word. Some of you may not know how to defend yourself against the word when it's used against you. It is a, it is it is often used as a debate ender. All right, as a debate ender, whenever you try to confront those who are either ignorant to conspiracies or who try to deny the fact that conspiracies exist. Same way that the word anti Semitism or anti Semitic is used. Whenever you try to pose or put forth the facts that Zionism is racism, or that you know Jews have a orchestrated plan to like control the masses of the people. They will oftentimes use the word anti-Semitic as a debate ender. As if once they play that card or lay that card on top of a card, it's the big joker in the goddamn deck. It kills and ends the game. It's a game ender, and that's not true. You know what I mean? And it's only true or if you don't understand what a conspiracy is. So I'm getting ready to tell you what is a conspiracy, how to recognize conspiracies, and I'm going to give you a formula for gauging a conspiracy. All right. So there are many different definitions of the word conspiracies, but sometimes definitions don't necessarily give you a realistic explanation or understanding of a particular thing as a working model. You know, so I'm going to give you in a in this working models. It's a working model of it. It's a working model understanding of a thing that helps you clearly see how a particular thing operates throughout a society. Sometimes definitions in dictionaries, Wikipedia, whatever, will only give you like a textbook understanding, but not necessarily a working understanding as in a way that you're able to see and notice and recognize a thing or identify a thing based on your day-to-day reality. You know what I mean? Based on what's outside your door or even sometimes within your home. Okay, so here is a working understanding of the word conspiracy. A conspiracy basically is comprised or made up of three elements. All right. These three elements must exist in order for something to be considered a conspiracy. Whenever you're trying to assess something or identify something that you recognize, see, or read about in your day to day reality. Okay. A conspiracy must have two or more individuals involved. All right. So if it's just one person who's plotting or planning something, you know, against you or against your particular group, it's not necessarily, it doesn't qualify as a conspiracy. You know what I mean? Nor does he qualify as a conspirator because, like I said, it must have two or more members. So if he's doing it alone and has no assistance from no other individuals, then it's not considered conspiracy. Okay, it must be some kind of camaraderie between two individuals or more. Okay. Number two, there's always going to be coercion, all right, or deception present. Coercion or deception, or sometimes in some instances both coercion and deception. Okay. Usually, whatever agenda that the conspirators have set forth, they will usually, by propaganda means, okay, coerce you with by way of propaganda, all right, and sometimes by force, okay, by force, all right. So they'll use propaganda in the form of deception, and then coercion in the form of having sometimes soldiers who will forcefully move your ass along, you know, along the goddamn path of their agenda forcefully. All right. If you ain't moving fast enough, they will push your ass along, to where they want you to be. All right. Or as they used to say, nigga, I'ma beat it into you. All right. That's coercion. All right. Forcefully making you adopt their ideology. All right. The third element is use of immoral practices. All right. Immoral practices, not necessarily to be confused with deception. All right. There's a difference. All right. And I'm going to give you a little more insight on the difference between deception and immoral practices. All right. So those are the three elements: two or more individuals involved, coercion and deception, and immoral practice. All right. So now, based on this formula for recognizing or gauging a conspiracy, using your comparative analysis, something that I've always emphasized to individuals who, tune in to hear, my little philosophy on life or whatever, or how I see things as far as like that are trying to hold us back and how we should overcome our present day dilemma. I always emphasize comparative analysis whenever you're reading, studying history or anything like that, or even something that's happened in past or present. You should always use a comparative analysis whenever you study. All right, so that you can so that you can begin to have what's called a comparative analysis helps you to have what's called a working knowledge of a particular thing. All right, you can read up on something, but if you don't meditate on the thing that you studied and then compare, how you recognize that particular thing and other things that know about, then you're going to be limited in your understanding. So making comparative analysis help you in your understanding of a particular thing. And of course, I said in other videos, Solomon says, seek ye knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, but of the three, seek understanding the most. Because it's understanding that helps you to be able to, see a thing from all sides, all angles, and, you can have a more effective use of teaching that particular thing to another individual. All right. So now, using the comparative analysis on the three elements of conspiracy, immediately what should come to mind is things like the police department, okay, certain New World Order branches, such as the Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, hell, the United States government, you know what I mean? The UN peace, so-called peacekeeping movement, all right? Which is the biggest goddamn conspiratorial element right now that's operating. Because it's that motherfucking branch of this goddamn one world or new world order collectivism that's the main deception and coercion element of the three element plan, of the three element, of conspiratorial things, because it's this so-called peacekeeping goddamn force that goes around policing the world, and that sits up there and use deception to say that, oh, this motherfucker's killing his own people and all that kind of shit, and then sending goddamn troops to use goddamn force in the form of coercion, you understand what I'm saying, to really bring about their desired effect, which is one world government. You know what I mean? One world, new world order, and the one world government. The Catholic Church is another one. You know what I mean? That you should not be able to sleep on. You understand what I'm saying? The Pope, when he was over here, he made the comment that Christ dying on the cross was a failure. You understand what I'm saying? Which totally goes against the whole Christian ideology, because the Christian ideology doesn't end with Christ's death on the cross. It's about the death, burial, and resurrection. It's in the burial and the resurrection that his victory is solidified. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the motherfucker who claims to be the vicar of Christ, the substitute of Christ on earth, which he ain't nothing but a goddamn, he ain't the Antichrist. He's a goddamn agent of the Antichrist. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a totally blasphemous thing to say. But the motherfucker is a closet atheist. He's not about God. You know what I mean? He's pushing a one world religion. He's all part of this whole new world order, one world religion, one world government, collectivism thought. You understand what I'm saying? Borg. You know what I mean? Shit. He's all part of that shit. And he's helping to assist one world religion, which ain't nothing but a Nazism, fascist type of ideology of, you're God. They ain't no God. We're gods. That's what Hitler tried to do. He said that the Aryans were gods. You know what I mean? One worldism, collectivism, one people. I once posed a question in one video: if God isn't on the minds of the people, does he exist? Because for God, in order to exist, he must operate through the people. All right? Through the way that they see, think, and behave. You understand what I'm saying? Through the practices that they do. Whether they stand up for righteousness' sake and defeat Satan and all his works whenever it raises its ugly head, this is the goddamn job and the responsibility of those who claim to be aiders of God. You know what I mean? Or what in Islam we call it Ansarullah, aiders of Allah. You know what I mean? You can also call it Abdullah, servant of Allah. You know what I mean? So, this is what you ought to be doing, man. If you claim to be a God believing and a servant of God or a child of God, you know what I mean? B'nai Elohim, children of God, whatever your claim is, Hebrew, you know what I mean? If you claim to be on the side of God, you got to stand up for righteousness' sake. For when you stand up and defend righteousness' sake, you defend God. All right? Now, when I told you earlier that I was going to give you a difference in deception and coercion as opposed to immoral practices. Well, to motherfuckers who subscribe to a conspiratorial thought like the New World Order and One World Order, or even I gave you the example of fascism and Nazism. To them, they believe in this so-called big idea, this grand, this grand idea for the greater good. You understand what I'm saying? They believe in that. You understand what I'm saying? So when a police officer kills an unarmed black person, you understand what I'm saying? He believes he's doing that shit for the greater good, because I told you before, the police department exists for only 3 reasons: to protect white people's lives, property, and interests, period. So when he kills a nigga, you know what I mean, he feels he's doing it for the greater good of white interests. You understand what I'm saying? To protect white life, property, and interests, period. So when these motherfuckers who move around in the UN peacekeeping shit and waging war and the United States and Britain and all these motherfuckers go around kicking everybody's ass on the goddamn planet, You know what I mean? To forcefully use coercion and deceptive means to bring about their desired effect, which is one world government, Anglo-Saxon Zionist rule, whether they kill 1, 10, 100, or 1,000 or 10,000 motherfuckers. They believe they're doing it for the greater good. These is your motherfuckers who make up Congress, who make up the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, Bohemian Grove, all these goddamn different branches and divisions. Remember, this beast don't have just one head and 2 horns. This motherfucker has 7 heads and 10 horns. You understand that shit? So there are many goddamn facets and shit involved in this shit. You know what I mean? You had the political shit, you had the think tanks, you had the religious institution. You know what I mean? That's all trying to bring down one world government, one world religion. You know what I mean? A whole goddamn beehive of non-thinking worker motherfuckers, devoid of individual thought. You understand what I'm saying? They believe that the government has their best interests at hand. So when the UN peacekeeping troops go around and they begin killing motherfuckers, they shooting them with the bullet of peace. They firing missiles of peace. You understand that shit? Deceptive means coercion. You understand? Immoral practices held together by 2 or more individuals. A goddamn conspiracy. This is Brother Elihu L. Peace.